Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for its 28th year of NFL action. Just click the link below in my description box and sign up today. BetUS.com, where the game begins. Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Outta My League. I'm Nick Diaz. We do this every week after the Saints game. It's time to buy, sell, or hold in the Saints stock after the Tampa Bay game. So let's start with the coaches. Dennis Allen. I'm going to sell. They played bad against Atlanta, almost lost, probably should have lost, and then they did lose. So Jameis Winston, he was limited in practice all of last week. He had 4 fractured vertebrae in his back. And although defensively they played much better, I'm sorry, your quarterback is the most important position on the team. And you put the team in that situation. And then you kept the team in that situation after watching him play for 2 quarters with maybe the best backup in the NFL on the bench. No. I got to sell. That doesn't mean Dennis Allen won't be a good coach for the Saints or have a good season or have a good career with the Saints, but fair is fair through 2 weeks. And 2 weeks in, we sell. Offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael. Hold. I can't judge play calling when last week your offensive line was just trash for 3.5 quarters, and now your quarterback's accuracy is really bad because your quarterback is hurt. You can only do so much. And also, when your quarterback is playing hurt, you don't know exactly what he can and can't do until he just goes out and does it. And I thought, Pete Carmichael did and called what he needed to, seeing as this was a very defensive battle kind of game. He ran the ball and tried to win the game with the run game. So, simply not enough info, so we hold for now. Defensive coordinator, whoever the hell that is exactly, Dennis Allen / Rashard / whoever, buy stock, okay? Yeah, buy stock. It's a defensive staff. They played well. They made adjustments. The guys look way better all around than they did against Atlanta. Buy stock. No questions about it. Okay, moving on to the players. Quarterback, Jameis Winston. Well, he's hurt, so you hold. It's not his fault. It's just the situation that they're in. I thought he played great in the comeback last week against Atlanta, and they went behind because the offensive line was bad. He was getting bludgeoned. So, again, not all of his fault. But at the same time, he's hurt, so we don't know what the future holds, so that's why we're holding. But this was Maddie Hudak, who writes for Saints Wire. She does a great job. She wrote an article doing research about Jameis Winston's back fractures and what that means for him going forward and how that affects his play. And I'll spare you all the, minute medical details and jargon that she wrote down. She really went into great detail. You should go and read it. But long story short, what she found out in her research is that the type of fractures that Jameis Winston has in his lower back, they're vertebrae that essentially controls the communication between your brain and your lower body. And it can affect the motor skills in the legs, hips, groin, and feet. That's kind of important to accuracy with a quarterback. So that's not a sell, but by God, that's a hold until we know more. Running backs, buy. Yes, I know Mark Ingram fumbled. I get it. It was a huge turning point in the game. Not the fight or the brawl, but that was the turning point in the game, the fumble. But really, other than that, he and the other running backs, Tony Jones Jr. and Dwayne Washington, they really played well. And the game was in their hands, and they had to perform well, and they were the majority of the offense throughout the game. And on top of that, Alvin Kamara, he was back at practice today in limited participation. So currently, still buy on the running backs. Offensive line, hold. It was better. It was much better. But better compared to, say, what you did in Atlanta, which, is not really that hard to look better than. Look, there is bad offensive line play all across the NFL right now. My theory, and part of that, is the fact that a lot of players sit out most of training camp and preseason games now more than they ever have in NFL history. And the lack of continuity affects the offensive line more than probably any other position, except maybe quarterback and receiver. So this week was better. Just need to see more next week. They have good offensive linemen. They're just not playing great at the moment. Tight end. Sell. Look, I can't put Taysom Hill in this category because most of his success is in that wildcat quarterback formation that they use. And I'll say this right now, I just don't think it's going to be there for Adam Troutman. Now, I could be wrong because it's only week 2, and there's a lot of extenuating circumstances. The offensive line is bad, so you bring in tight ends to add some run-blocking protection against Atlanta in week 1. In week 2, well, your quarterback's hurt and can't make a throw. But with Adam Troutman, the clock's ticking before I call him a bust. Because Dennis Allen said that he had the best training camp in August because he was finally healthy and he was looking like that number 1 tight end should. But I need to see it soon. So, for now, I got to say I got to sell. Wide receiver, I'll still buy. Look, wide receiver is only as good as the quarterback that can get it to them. And Jameis couldn't, through no fault of his own. He just couldn't. They were getting separation if you go back and rewatch that game, and a lot of people who studied the film said the wide receivers still looking good, still running great routes, still getting open. The plays are there to be made, and this is still a top 3 wide receiving core in the NFL based on talent. So I'll still buy. Defensive players. Defensive line, I'll still hold. Look, better play overall, especially in the run defense, which was last week's problem against Atlanta. But considering Tampa Bay had that many starters on the offensive line out of the game, and yet your defensive pass rush only had 1 sack and 3 quarterback hurries on Tom Brady, that's kind of sobering and somewhat disconcerting. Now, on the other hand, Tom Brady is Tom Brady for a reason because he gets rid of the ball so damn quickly. But look, because of wishy-washy defensive line performance so far through 2 weeks, I'll hold. Linebackers, buy. Holy shit, we're buying. Look, Pete Werner, he might be the best player on the Saints defense right now. And I don't think that's over-exaggerating. He has been overperforming as a player in the sense that he was always sort of seen as more of a coverage linebacker. Well, now he is shedding blocks in the run game as good, if not better, than anybody right now for the Saints defense. He is the best tackler on this team through 2 weeks, bar none. He's breaking up passes and coverages, and he's reading the defense pre-snap at a high rate, and mentally, he's just all there. Buy stock in linebackers right now. Defensive backs. Lastly, yeah, I'll buy. Look, Paulson Adebo's back at practice, so that's good news, which helps. But despite Marshawn Lattimore being ejected, the secondary still played well in spots. And Alontae Taylor, the Saints' second-round rookie pick out of Tennessee, he went in there after missing most of camp with an injury, and he balled out. He played well. He took away targets from Tom Brady and that wide receiving core for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I told y'all that, while losing Chauncey Gardner-Johnson sucked ass, it wasn't going to greatly affect the Saints' secondary or team as a whole. Because despite all these concerns, the Saints still have a damn good secondary. And yes, the Saints still have a damn good football team. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Or follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok in the description link below.